Very excited for our next speaker, Mr. Travis JT Dill. JT is a visionary, dedicated leader in the field of cybersecurity. Today, JT serves as the CEO of Cybergenic Systems and co-founder and vice president of the nonprofit CyberVets, our amazing partner here today, along with Shane Gallagher. JT's journey began as a naval cryptologic warfare officer, where he honed his skills in leading large teams of joint military and civilian personnel in cyberspace operations, covering everything from defense and exploitation to offensive domains. JT's distinguished career covers 18 years of service at the NSA and U.S. Cyber Command. Upon retiring from the Navy, he chose to continue his mission of serving our nation, focusing on training and developing our service members. Unwavering commitment revolves around providing cybersecurity training and mentorship to transitioning service members, guiding them as they make a career change into the dynamic world of cyber. So, please help me welcome Mr. JT. All right. Good, all right? Oh, good. I know you can't go into incredible detail on the work at the NSA, given what it is, but I do think it helps, especially feeding the Q&A portion. Could you just contextualize a bit of like what your focus was, what the work was at a high level, and then I'll drive us from there?
Yeah, so when I started working with the agency, I started off kind of doing more of like signals collection type based stuff to it was kind of a cool gradual, because in the military we switch out roles every 2-3 years, and so you were always doing something different. Sometimes I wanted to stay on a particular track, but they moved us around a lot. So I kind of like the diversity that I had throughout my career. So I started off doing collections, signals collections. Then they made me a system administrator. Then they made me I went more on the cyber defense side of the house, to intelligence, then to operations planning, to then running an actual exploitation team. And just like the military, you did almost 20 years of service in the intelligence community. They made me in charge of Navy linguists. I can't even speak English, now I'm in charge of the Navy linguists. So that's how I ended my career at the Pentagon. But also when I left the Pentagon, it was also, they would bring me in to help focus on the training side of the house for cyber operations.
Why cyber? I felt like you've experienced a lot in your life between service. You've seen many places, boots have hit the ground in many different territories. But what about cyber caught your attention and frankly has kept you engaged and focused and motivated, this far into the course?
Well, that's actually a funny question. When I first joined the military, I took kind of the first job, and that job was large weapons handling, and I was search and rescue. I had a good mentor, so your question is going to lead to I had a good mentor. So I was getting ready to re-enlist after my first tour, and I had a good mentor that says, "What are you going to do when you get out of the military? Are you going to go do Baywatch or something like that?" Baywatch was a hit show in the 90s. I don't know. So what are you going to do, Baywatch? Because I was search and rescue. And so he kind of wanted me to go to the technical field, so that's when I reapplied and kind of changed jobs. And it wasn't really cyber at the time, it was more communications and satellites, and then it just kind of was forming because there was this need for more dedicated cyber experience. So it kind of morphed into that, and then once you, especially at the agency, once you started becoming known for a particular niche, you were kind of set in that particular area.
A lot's developed, mentioned it with Gabe, the industry's changed, and the threat landscape is changing by the minute. How has your perspective on cyber risk, threat, how's that developed since those early days, working as a cryptologic officer through to your time in the agency and today? How has it evolved?
Rapidly. Because by the time you guys leave this room right now, I don't believe in the word about modern technology, because what's modern is just going to change by the time you leave this room. The old habit of training, especially in cyber, and especially in the military, is you would go to school for 6 months to learn this one thing, and then this is after years of planning to get that incorporated as a requirement to make a training, to develop the training, you do the training, and then by the time you get out there, well, that's years old. So I think really it's being curious, staying on top of what the newer technologies are. You're going to hear some ongoing themes, being curious, and testing new stuff out. And one thing that, especially with technology, is we can't learn it all. So don't try to become an expert in everything. Be an expert in one thing, be great at two things, be good at three things, and know just a little bit about something, about a little bit everything else, but most important, network with somebody that knows that's those experts. But be curious, you're gonna learn a lot within your college, taking certifications, taking boot camps, but where you're really gonna learn is your own cyber dojo. So fail, it's all right to fail, and keep failing and failing and failing until you start learning that a little bit more. So technology changes, and it's hard to stay up with it. But as long as you focus on particular areas, that's the only advice that I like to give. Find an area you're interested in, and just drill down into that area. Don't try to learn everything. I've only met one savant, and he was at NSA, and no one's going to be that. So.
I want to talk about the word that we hear a lot in the space is qualified talent. And we heard the term qualified talent? No? Okay, we'll start to hear it more. Obviously.
After today.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think it matters, right? It's an important, there's 700,000 job openings today for cyber. It's really important that we have awesome, amazing people doing really important work that are excited about it, that love it, that are great at it, to safeguard the information that's in this country. Right? And whether it's healthcare data, whether it's financial information, it's really important, and that's why we're so happy you joined us today. But at the same time, as somebody that spends so much of your time in training and mentorship in developing the soft skills, interpersonal communication, relationship building, conflict and resolution through the technical, how has your definition of qualified talent changed, or qualified in general, over the last 20 years?
Man, that's a kind of a pet peeve of mine, especially when it gets to what is qualified. What does that mean? What does experience mean? We have a lot of people that have cybersecurity degrees. They have 5 years of experience, but when you go to apply, they're not hearing anything back because they want that person with 50 years of experience, 20 certifications, and 4 master's degree for that entry-level job. So that's something that needs to change, especially when you have this skills gap, but they're not looking at what folks can actually do. One of the things, and Jeremy said it, Gabe said it, you've got to network. If you guys don't leave this room without meeting somebody from another team, you might see them again down the road, because again, the whole goal is to grow this. We would love to have the CTF in multiple places, multiple times. You're going to run into each other because you're competing as a team right now, but what about 5 years from now when you're actually, you meet up somebody on a different team? Network. I don't call them jobs, I call them opportunities. How do you get that opportunity? And it's all about networking, meeting people. My goal for my cyber vets is to never have to apply and never have to interview. You have to understand, when you leave these tables and you start growing, you said apprenticeships, internships, get them now. You can start researching your freshman year. NSA, they have a great apprenticeship program. You can find it off their website, where you can do your summer interns as a freshman. They let high schoolers. They have high school internship there, NSA. Start networking now. Get to know people, because my goal is for you guys is to get your dream opportunity with never having to apply or submit a resume or interview. Because every single day, you guys are the interview. You guys are the resume. You're a walking, living embodiment of that. And if you start network in the area that you're interested in, cold call them, get on their nerves, email, hit them up on social media, go meet them. Don't be afraid to walk over to companies and start talking to them at booths at other CTFs. Take business cards, come talk to us, email us. Hey, I'm interested in this. Do you know anybody in this particular area? Utilize the folks that are offering their help. And I know everybody in this, especially up in this front, we offer our help. Call us, email us, text us. We know people. We know a lot of people. Rolodex is big. Use us. I'm going to keep beating on that. Network.
Love it. Anything else that's top of mind for you before we open up the Q&A, or anything else that maybe you wanted to talk about today?
Man, I can talk all day. So, but for the most part, be curious. Don't be afraid to fail, and talk with us, meet us, and because I've really enjoyed where this community has gone in the last 20 years. And the resources that are available to you. When I first came in, I was starting to learn cyber. It was always the person with that knowledge that always want to retain that knowledge and make you feel stupid or that you don't know it. So, excuse my language, we don't got time for those assholes in this environment. So this is how you're going to, by having a very powerful network, you can go far.
Love it. Well said. All right, we're opening up the questions in 1 second. I just want to underscore that it's okay to ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength. It's really important to know that. It's really, really, especially early in your career. Your job is to have an idea and a vision and some idea of where the wind's blowing so you can look ahead, but it's okay to ask for help along the way. You're never going to solve everything solo. I certainly am not, JT isn't, and anybody else that you're meeting that's a couple years ahead, they ask for help. It's okay. Questions for JT? Yes. And again, welcome the name and school.
Oh, sure. Hi, my name is Daniel from Towson University. Outside of internships and jobs, especially in signals intelligence, what resources do you know that are available that aren't classified for keeping up to date with the threat landscape?
Within NSA?
Doesn't have to be. Just anything that I could go to without having a security clearance and learn.
Just again, I'm gonna beat this. User networks, whatever you're interested in, go to those areas. Most of them do have internships. Most of them have resources, and just talking to the particular area that you're interested in. Because resources, and that's the one thing is kind of developing your own resources and kind of figuring where those are, because the resources is so vast. You're going through a whole pool of these resources. So can't really answer your question because there's a million resources out there. So it's really focusing on what area you want to, and just like you said, Google. But whatever you're interested in, go meet those folks because they have their own resources for those particular areas.
Yes.
Do you see a specific area of cybersecurity that's like on the rise, that's becoming like increasingly prominent?
Of course, I'm going to say AI. That's kind of is it a trend? Is it just kind of? I think it's on the rise. The thing about AI is, again, it could be used for good things. Of course, it could be used for bad things. Our adversaries don't give a crap about ethical means. So I would be very interested into following AI and how it can be used against us. You guys are going to be put in a position where you're going to be needing to defend our particular networks or your particular networks. Our adversaries, majority of them don't have degrees, don't have certifications, and they will use anything and means to get in. You got to stay on top of that. So I see AI as one of the biggest threats right now, besides the individual who wants in your network. Some of our APTs out there, that's what motivates some people. I'm scared of that one person that dedicates his entire life, day, night, to getting into your network. So you have to also make you have to think like the adversary as well.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Sajid from Loyola. So what would you say to companies that don't want to devote resources to cybersecurity?
Find another company.
Sajid, did you say school or company?
Or like companies that don't have resources or like money that might towards cybersecurity within the organization, like how would you go about like telling them that they need to make it a priority?
By being an example and just saying, hey, I was able to build this with this. And that's the scary part. When a company is either they don't want to spend the money, there's a difference there. If they have the money, they don't want to spend it, that's an issue. To make sure that you guys are continuing to get trained and continuous learning in those particular areas or the resources. But other than that, I would say then you build the resources for them and build them.
We have room for 2 more questions. Yes.
So I'm Noah, I'm from George Mason University. I know that the public sector just in general has a lot of technologies that are several years ahead of what we currently have, just like open source or in general. Would you say that is a true statement? And if you've worked with any of these, how have they helped like advance your personal knowledge of cybersecurity?
I kind of like what the banking sector does, because you touch somebody's money, you're not going to make money. So I like what the dedication and the resources they put towards to building that technology, because the goal for especially financial is to make more money, and you can't do that if people are taking that money. So we learned a lot from the financial sector on the technologies that are applied, because what's the first thing that most people try to hit? Money. And besides the health sector is another huge one that I'm sure Tom's going to talk about. But learn with those, and I really, this information sharing that's happened, especially in the course of these past couple of years, has gotten a lot better, extremely better compared to what it was years ago when everybody kind of kept their information. But again, financials is kind of leading that way as far as helping and sharing that information. You have information that can help others, share it, and some of that technology is part of that resource sharing. Good question, by the way.
One more. Yes.
Katie from Towson. What do you think the most underrated skill that not a lot of people have in relation to cyber?
Soft skills. Soft skills. I think you probably think I was going to say something technical. Soft skills. Be able to communicate. It was always I would say a pleasure, because it was a little fun when we would have, for example, someone that just came back from Iraq is infantry, and now he's doing his joint tour, and then he has someone trying to tell him exactly what happened within a particular network, and the communication is just not there. So we actually have people translating what each other's saying back and forth. But soft skills, be able to be able to communicate, network, and just the overall what it takes to. You can have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't know how to apply that knowledge and share that knowledge, I think soft skills is one of the areas, because a lot of times in a technical track, that's all you learn. And I really think the communication skills back and forth, soft skills would probably be the one that is lacking.
You'll hear that a lot. Soft skills. Everybody, JT Dill.
Thank you.